Well, good afternoon, everyone. Once again, I have the special and unique Mr. Tommy Cloud here with us. He is the president of Third Act Retirement and founder, which he started back in the year 2000. He's a certified financial planner, that's CFP, as well as a chartered financial consultant and graduate of the esteemed Georgia Institute of Virginity Studies. It's quite impressive. You have all the special letters and names after your name. It's quite a bit of titles and honorifics here. His firm is Fee Only and Fiduciary, and he works mainly with CRNAs, successful technology executives, and Christians who are near retirement with around $500,000 in investable assets. Mr. Cloud, welcome to the show. It's such an honor and privilege, sir.
Thank you, Brett.
The great and powerful Tommy Cloud. Everybody.
Love that. Love the great and powerful part. You know, you said I was a fiduciary, which is true. Do you know what a fiduciary is?
I don't know all the details of it, but I understand it is where basically you're under obligation through that title to act in the best interest of your customers and clients at all times. Can't consider other matters. You're bound to a certain standard in the engagements. Did I get it right?
That's exactly correct. You got it.
There you go.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Well, Brett, first of all, thank you again for having me on the show. And I just wanted to say, this show I think is going to go better. It's much more less distracting. I'm glad you zipped your shirt up there for me. Appreciate that. Thank you. I don't need any temptations during the show.
Thank you. Well, neither you nor the people at home. We want to keep them focused on the important things, like Georgia Tech and stuff like that. Professor Emeritus of Involuntary Celibacy. That's quite a standard to set. The Catholic Church just calls it celibacy. You guys have taken it a whole another step further. Just permanent, lifelong, unretractable,
Well, that was something that came easy for me, Brett. A lot of things come hard for me, but that was easy for me. So
that's what I've heard from a lot of people who went to Tech. But we've got an amazing article I really want to dive into, if I may, Tommy.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. I wouldn't force you to do anything.
3 keys to retirement income distribution during global political unrest. So let's start at a high level, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
What led you to write an article like this? What was going around in your brain? What was bouncing around up there? You said, hey, I got to write this article.
Well, quite frankly,
what was your inspiration?
My marketing
piece
consultant suggested that I write over 100 different article titles that he gave me. And this particular one, I think, was just about retirement income distribution. I can't remember the exact title that he gave me. And I just decided, I want to focus in on 3 particular things about retirement income distribution during all this global and political unrest, which, as we know, will probably only increase as we move forward here towards the second coming.
So there's a lot of chaos. Only constant in the universe is change, and people should be prepared.
Should be prepared. It's very common. Global political unrest, I expect it to continue. I'm sure you do too.
Yes. So talk to me a little bit about one of those elements within that article, inflation. What kind of trends do you see, and why are we facing them?
Well, inflation we're going to devote a whole show to here, Brett, in the coming weeks. So if you don't mind, may I skip inflation and let's save that for an entire show just to talk about inflation?
That is a lot to unpack, by all means.
It really is. There's a lot there. But, one of the things, as we look at the 3 keys, I'll talk about, I'll kind of scroll down here. And let's talk about the first one, which, if you can see, is right here. You want to determine your expenses to help you set a budget. And that's back up here, kind of talking about expenses. And we just went over the expenses today. I just had someone come in for a financial plan review of his financial plan. And one of the things when you're setting expenses you want to look at, of course, your mortgage, car payments if you have any, credit card debt, school debt. I wouldn't think someone would be retiring with credit card and school debt. That's probably not the way to go. Your utilities, which we'll be talking about here in a little bit, which have skyrocketed in America the past 12 months. Your car insurance, your home insurance, and then, of course, your Medicare health insurance, which we talked about. So we look at the expenses, and you want to determine a baseline for just kind of your basic expenses. Is that going to include Medicare and health insurance or not? Today, I was working on a particular plan, and he was just in great financial shape, mainly because of what he'd saved up. His net worth was about $2.3 million. Been a client of mine for a while, and his basic living expenses that he was projecting when he retired, because he had no debt, was only going to be $55,000. With health care and cost included, it was going to be about $70,000. We really were very conservative with his health costs because he was so concerned about that. But Brett, you really, as you're talking about retirement income distribution, you really, these are very basic things as to know what you think your expenses are going to be when you retire.
So when it comes to things, it sounds like people need a basic discipline of creating a budget. How many of your clients resist putting together a budget, and why do you think they do that?
Really, when someone like me that I get to work with people, it's kind of like, you're working with, when someone seeks out advice, they're a little more humble. So my clients usually are savers, Brett. So, the budget thing, I just don't have a lot of problems with that. The guy in my office today, he was 60 years old. His wife was 60 years old. And we went through his plan, and I just kept changing things around for him. He wants to retire at 65, and his wife retire at 62. And I just told him, I said, well, look, you can retire when you're 61 next year if you want. And then we planned on him living to 88. And he said, well, let's take it to 90. See what happens when I'm 90. And his plan was still in great shape. So I took his budget from $55,000, and I finally got it where it was a little out of my comfort zone, around from $55,000 all the way up to, say, I think it was around $97,000, $98,000 a year. Now, with the health insurance costs, which you would want to include, that would be more like $115,000 is where it kind of pushed his plan, where it was kind of out of my comfort zone. 112, 113, somewhere in that range. But no, he was open to it. I told him to retire early. And that's what I get, Brett. Typically, most Americans die in debt. A lot of Americans will die in nursing home where they take the last, your last money. We talked about that with my client. His parent died in a nursing home. They just took his check from him. Whatever they had in his name, they just took the last check from him. So they are not that resistant, Brett, to setting a budget, but they have hundreds of thousands of dollars saved up, and they, the client that pays me the most every year, when he came to me, he told me that he didn't want to have to buy cat food during retirement. They're just humble. They're scared. They're humble. They wouldn't have all these millions of dollars saved up if they probably, weren't concerned about running out of money.
Right. Yeah, there's something about getting older and retirement and money and looking at the end of life that's kind of humbling. Puts things in perspective and makes people probably more pliant to good advice. But what other two big keys do you think potential clients really need to know about, Tommy?
Well, I appreciate that, Brett. I want to, if we could, just take a little break for a second here.
Break?
If you don't mind. I wanted to kind of step away and kind of show you something here. And we don't have a lot of time here as we're wrapping up the show, but I know for me, one of the things that I was in for 5 years, and of course you're out there in the battlefields right now. You got your guns and your hand grenades and all the other weaponry that you have. You're out there in the battlefield of the single dating world of North America, the United States here in the 21st century. And what I wanted to do was I wanted to go over just one of your great dating sayings here before we go. And I wanted to talk about your first one here on the list, Brett. I know this is off the financial topic of retirement planning, but could you talk a little bit about soft offers, and what do you mean by soft offers? What is a soft offer?
I'm really glad you asked me about this, Tommy. A soft offer is basically in contrast to a hard offer. So a hard offer would be explicit, X, Y, and Z are on the table. Would you be interested in exchange for PD and Q, etc.? Hard offer, very explicit. No room for any kind of misinterpretation. Nothing unclear about it at all. Soft offer is where something's just sort of left out there. Not necessarily verbally. There are, as you know very well, Tommy, a number of things that can be communicated in a nonverbal offer, but are also pretty much clear-cut at the same time. So, it's a way of bargaining on a little bit more surreptitious basis.
Well,
we're all working to get our needs met, right? And working for the things we hope and dream for, and looking to get our heart's desires and protect our hearts at the same time, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, we don't have time for you to share any of your dreams with us today, but I appreciate that very much.
Wow. Well, this has been fun, Tommy.
It's always
so
fun.
much more we can unpack, probably at a later time in another show. But if people really needed to get in touch with you to discuss their retirement plannings and making sure they're not eating cat food at the end of life, how might they reach out to the great and powerful Tommy Cloud?
Great, powerful. Love it. If you say it enough times, I might start to believe it. You can come on here to my website. We're going to go over the rest of this article, by the way, the 3 keys in one of our shows here coming up, probably our next show, Brett. But they just come onto my website. They click on Get Started Now. They'll scroll down here, and they'll just click on Schedule Now. And then, of course, they're going to hit the Retirement Ready Success Call. It's just a 15 or 20-minute, no-cost, no-obligation call. We can talk about where they are, kind of where they want to be, what their goals are. And then at the end of the call, we'll decide if we even need to have another call. But it's pretty simple, but all right there on the website. Thanks for asking.
Well, outstanding. Thank you so much for your time and your company here today and this scintillating conversation that we had. It's been memorable.
Thank you.
It's left an impact on me. I know it has on you.
God bless, and I'll see you soon.
Take care, Tommy.